And welcome. I wanted to you welcome to this webinar about the preparation of the projects. I want to introduce our Living Lab core team that is currently on the call with us. Myself, Dr. Lena Madden. I'm coordinating overall Irish Living Lab. And I'm in the soil science. I'm a scientist, and Dr. Shane Sullivan. He's looking after the social science aspect of the Living Lab. Dr. Laura Rodriguez, she's our project and communication manager, and Sarah Davidson, she is one of our lead for one of our partners, Jordan Community Farm. So I'm going to start with the agenda of this webinar and what we're going to be talking about. I hope everyone can see my screen. Shane, you can confirm, yeah? Yeah, okay, perfect. So it's a project preparation webinar. And we're going to inform you how all process will go, the timelines, the everything that was worked out by partners of all 4 year Soilcrates Living Lab over the last 6 months. So we're going to start with application process, terms and condition, timelines, how the projects have been assessed. We're going to give you an overview of application form and the budget form, and the conditions that we're going to briefly discuss the condition of the budget and how to fill in this application form, and what is happening after application as well, because they're going to be the successful projects are going to get contracts, and then the work going to begin. So in each slide in this webinar, you're going to be seeing this short WRF FSTP, and people very often wonder, what does this mean? I just want you to clarify this for everyone from the very beginning. It's language used by Commission, and it starts for financial support to third parties. Because European project has 21 partners, Soilcrates project has 21 partners, and they considered beneficiary. And every farmer that been funded from the project, not directly by Commission, they call a third party. So this is basically a brief agenda of our webinar today. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to invite Dr. Shane Sullivan to begin from the application process and term and conditions. Thank you very much. And Shane, you please go ahead. I also wanted to notice that if any time we're not enabled the microphone for the participants, but if you have any question, please put them into chat, and we will assess them, and we will answer them and put them on the Soilcrates Ireland website. At the front door. Thank you. You're muted.
Okay, sorry. Can you see my screen? Yes. Hello. Can you hello, Lena? Can you see my screen? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Okay. I will start. Good afternoon. My name is Good evening. My name is Dr. Shane Sullivan. I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of Applied Social Sciences in TUS, and part of my role in this project is looking after the social science dimension of it. In tonight's presentation, I'm going to give you a quick overview of the financial grants that we're going to be made available through the Soilcrates project. I suppose the main impetus of the Soilcrates project is to improve soil health. And this project has been funded through the European Commission via the Horizon Europe. And the main focus is to create healthy soils, not only here in Ireland, but across Europe. And according to the European Commission, healthy soils provide for food and biomass production. They allow for enhanced biodiversity, in better habitats to flourish. They can act as a reservoir for absorbing carbon dioxide or carbon. They can help to protect groundwater level bodies. They also act as a physical platform and cultural services for humans and their activities. They can be a source for raw materials. So healthy soils are very beneficial for society at large, and especially within the agricultural sector. For Soilcrates, we're offering a number of grants to be within each Living Lab. Overall, there is a 1.6 million euro to be split equally between 4 living labs. There's a living lab here in the Midwest, in Limerick, Clare and Tipperary. There's also another living lab in Spain, one in the Netherlands and one in France. And each living lab has been awarded 400,000 euros to finance at least 10 projects. So we will be able to finance 10 projects here in the Midwest region in Ireland. And the amount of money which can be allocated for a single project can range between 20 to 60,000 euros. And the duration of the projects is expected between 12 and 24 months. However, I will state here quite clearly, we would expect every project to last about 24 months, because the amount of time it takes to do the experiments and to see the results come to fruition will take time, and therefore 24 months is seen as the optimum amount of time in order to engage in the experimental work. And so we will be encouraging all applications to go to that upper range limit. And hopefully, if the Soilcrates Living Lab is successful, we may be able to find alternative funding in years to come, maybe to extend this out further. Furthermore, it's also important to note who can actually apply for these grants. They include farm owners, farm associations, a local SME, a small company. It can be a research or technological organization, in instance, an organization which engages maybe in providing research advice, agricultural consultancy, and so forth. Educational organizations, such as it could be schools, it could be universities, agricultural colleges. Furthermore, it could be the local and regional authorities, which would be the local authorities in the area, such as Limerick City County Council, Clare County Council, Tipperary County Council. And each of these organisations would have to do specific experiments within their land holdings. And these experiments are only confined to the specific counties, Limerick, Clare and Tipperary. And Soilcrates is expected to have strong scientific, societal and economic impacts during the duration of the project and beyond, through regular and local co-creation sessions. And these sessions allow for different actors, farmers, scientists, educators, community activists, all to come together to learn about how to improve and enhance soil quality, and to learn about the different experiments that have taken place, and to share the key learnings with others. The research outputs and results of the Soilcrates project will contribute towards the expected outcomes set out in the work programme of this project. and the impacts aligned with the overall European Union's soil mission objectives, whereby 75% of the EU soils will be healthy for food, people, nature, and climate by 2030. There are different types of activities which can qualify for the financial support, and my colleagues will be delving into this further in other slides, but I just want to highlight them here to you. So eligible pilot projects shall test health relevant practices in the areas, but not limited to irrigation and water holding capacity, soil amendments and fertilization, crop diversity, soil biodiversity, and I suppose across all of the projects we'll be hoping that we are trying to enhance our levels of soil literacy across amongst all key stakeholders. And to be selected, projects must address at least one of the following issues identified by the Soilcrates project. It could be around soil structure or compaction, climate drought, which would be a much more significant feature for farms, for instance, in Spain in comparison to here in Ireland. Soil life, salination, erosion, over-fertilization, loss of nutrients and soil organic carbon, excessive tillage, and pesticide management. And you only have to focus on at least one of these areas. You can maybe look at more than one, but just one of these issues should form part of your grant. So if you receive a grant, you will have to report regularly to other members within the Living Lab. This occurs through the co-creation meetings. It can also take place maybe, for instance, maybe through participation in farm walks, in demonstrations, and so on. And what we will be looking for at these events is that people would assign attendee lists and compile forms or templates which relate to the experiments which took place on the particular farms. Applicants and co-applicants of the project selected for funding agreed to be surveyed periodically during the monitoring and evaluation activities planned by the Soilcrates project during the funding period. This may include providing data and experience of participating in the pilot projects and its outcomes, describing the participatory methods and tools adopted during the results phase, and expressing levels of satisfaction on some of the timing and network events. So during the project, you will have to maybe fill out maybe some surveys about your level of satisfaction with how the activities have worked out. Maybe allow for you would have to also maybe explain how you shared knowledge through maybe the co-creation sessions. And co-creation sessions will be held periodically throughout the year, but of course will not be held during the busy farming time periods, i.e. during the summer or during the calving season and so forth. As I said before, applications can only be accepted from County Clare, County Limerick and County Tipperary, and that is the key requirement within the funding call. Proposals must be submitted by a sole applicant operating at a regional local level within the prescribed counties. These have to be uploaded onto an official electronic submission system, which we will provide guidance on how to use. It's very user friendly. You have to submit by the deadline for the call, and my colleagues will talk to you more detail about that shortly. The applications can be written in one of the following languages: English, French, Dutch, or Spanish. We would hope everyone here would submit them in English. The project duration has between 12 and 24 months. As I said before, we would really encourage 24 months at most. We would the financial support is between 20 and 60,000 euros. So the 60,000 euros is where maybe the experiments are taken across several farms and therefore would would allow for such a higher amount of money to be provided. If it was in a single farm holding, we would imagine that the grant would be in the range of 20,000. It should have all of the information concerning the applicant or the applicants within the application form. A full application form has to be completed. You have to respect the character limits. So we don't want theses to be provided to us. We want it to be as short and distinct as possible. So that is a key requirement. There is limits on how much information you can provide us, okay? Because we do not want to be swamped with too much information. And you have to complete all the necessary documents first. As I said before, who can apply for this project? These are farm owners, farm associations, so like IFA, ICMSA, and maybe other groups could come together if they have sufficient land in order to undertake it. It could be a local SME or a research and technology organisation or an educational institution. However, we would really like to see farmers applying for these grants, because these are the key landowners within the countryside, and these have a key role in food production and the management of soil overall. Naturally enough, partners of the Soilcrates consortium are not eligible to apply. This includes TOOS, Ballyhart Development, Clockchart Community Farm, Kraken Seeds, and Loophead together. Only one proposal per individual applicant will be accepted for each round of the evaluation. So you can only submit one application, and the project submitted will be evaluated by a team of experts, and this will be discussed later in the presentation. If the project proposal is not accepted in the first submission, and we hope to have about 70% of the funding allocated in the first round, you can submit then to the second round, which will be at a later date. So we would expect about 70% of the funding to be used in round 1, and then the remainder to be used in round 2. Your duties as an applicant. If your project is selected, the applicant is solely responsible for the coordination and execution of planned tasks, sharing the fundings with the pilot project partners, in the case of a legal association, or using the invoice system and providing necessary reporting. So in some instances, 2 or 3 farmers could come together and apply for a project. One farmer will be responsible for applying for the project, and he or she will have to invoice other farmers who are partaking in it. That is an option if a collective or group of farmers want to do it that way, or else each farmer can apply as sole applicants too, if deemed necessary. The applicant represents the application and the subgrant beneficiaries. Sole applicants are also referred as mono-beneficiary applicants and hold the same duties. At a minimum, the applicant is responsible for submitting a single application, including all the required documents, the signature of the subgrant agreement, distribution payments to partners if needed following the agreement, and managing the delivery of and compliance to the subgrant, ensuring high quality and on-time reporting. So these are the key duties of an applicant. They are basically managing the project, overseeing the experimentation, and doing some of the necessary reporting. However, it has to be acknowledged that, of course, here in TOOS, we will be doing the scientific experiments and sharing the results with you. It's finally, in my final slide, I want to acknowledge that how we deal with conflicts of interest. No conflict of interest is allowed to exist between the applicant and any member of the Soilcrates project consortium. This must be confirmed by the declaration of honour signed by the applicant. Cases of proven conflict of interest will lead to the suspension of the technical and financial support following a written warning that sends an awardees commits to refunding CNAM, who is responsible for overseeing the distribution of the funds to farmers, and this could lead to disqualification. It's important to note that the European Commission is not responsible for the distribution of funds. It is our project partner in France, CINA, who is responsible for issuing of grants and the processing of grants and the evaluation of grants. Experts evaluating project proposals shall not be in conflict of interest with the project they are evaluating, and in case of such a conflict, evaluators shall excuse themselves from the evaluation of such a project. So, and that's very standard operating procedures, how we deal with conflicts of interest as they arise. So I want to thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you. And I will stop sharing now.
Okay, I think it is my turn now. I'll just share my screen. Lena, you're muted.
Apologies, I was talking there for a while. I wanted to pass you on to Laura, and she will explain other organizational parts of the project. Yeah.
I don't know if you can see the screen. Can you see it there?
But I switched it on for you.
Yep. Thank you.
Guys, well, I'm going to apologize. I'm going to turn off each of the presenters because I want the screen to be full for our audience, so it goes in a full screen. Because when we have small icons, they kind of, I think they're on the side of the screen, so maybe some people cannot see it big enough. So I'll switch off the screens for each presenter, and then I'll turn them back on after the presentation, if that's okay.
Yep, perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lena. Well, hello everyone. I am Laura, and as Lena said, I'm part of the project as project manager and communications officer. I'm going to talk to you a bit about application submission, evaluation criteria, eligibility criteria. So for the application submission, the UFSTP call will be published on the official Soilcrates website, soilcrates.eu, and the related social media. And all proposals must be submitted electronically via their electronic submission system, which is accessible via the same website, and paper submissions are not possible. All proposals must be complete and contain all parts and mandatory annexes. So the documents have to be completed online, which are administrative information, and then the annexes A and B, which are the technical proposal and the breakdown of costs. Then there are two other documents that have to be only read and accepted online, which are annexes D and E, the privacy statement, and the declaration of honor. You can update your proposal upon submission until the selection round deadline, but it is based on the automatic timestamp. So only the latest additions to your proposals will be evaluated. For the timeline, the first round of the call comes on the 1st of November with the submission deadline on the 30th of November. Then the first round of results is on the 26th of December at the latest, so we'll all be celebrating Christmas by then. The second round will be early January, on the 1st of January, with a submission deadline on the 1st of February. And then those second round of results will be on the 1st of March. During the months from January to March, we will be preparing the contracts for a project start in March 2026. All relevant information and communication will be published on the Soilcrates website, but in the meantime, if you have any questions or queries, please email info@soilcratesireland.ie, and we will do our best to help you. Data confidentiality. All application data will be collected and stored by CINAM, our French partner. And to apply, you must accept all terms and conditions, privacy, cookie, and use policies, and you have to confirm that you have the permission to accept this on behalf of your organization. The project may publish general statistics only about the applications, and the personal data you provide may be seen by the French partners. You must ensure all individuals whose data you're sharing have agreed to share it. Nonetheless, all applications will be treated confidentially and documents received in accordance with the Soilcrates DMP, which has been adopted by the project. For the review and selection process, the selection committee is composed by 8 soil health experts from the Soilcrates Consortium based in Ireland, France, Netherlands, and Spain. and each living lab has provided a referent and a backup expert. Then Shane mentioned some of these. You have to fulfill all of these requirements or else the proposal will be rejected. So please make sure you deliver the proposal on time, and it has to be submitted by a single applicant only. The technical proposal has to be fully completed with the previously mentioned documents, and the declaration of owner has to be signed. Applicant has to be, again, farm owner, farmer associations, SMEs, RTOs or education organizations, and you have to be legally established in one of the living lab regions. It's just maximum one proposal per applicant with no conflict of interest, and please include an ethical self-assessment. For the eligibility criteria, the proposal has to include their three required phases: development, implementation, and dissemination. And of course, the proposal has to match the general Soilcrates project objectives. The technical proposal activities have to be aligned with the call. You have to describe the project activities. Your application has to be represented by at least one member of the Living Lab core team. So TOOS, Ballyhora, Clock Jordan, Loophead, and so on. And the application has to be discussed at least in one co-creation session. The requested budget, once again, is between 20,000 and 60,000 euro. And you have to provide sufficient details on the allocation of costs in your requested budget. Financial support will be awarded to the applicants following a transparent and expert evaluation-based selection process. Proposals will be further awarded based on criteria of global fit to the Living Lab objectives, applicant's team, and reasonability and appropriateness of the budget. Then four experts from the field, from the Soilcrates project, will evaluate the proposal against four criteria: collaboration with the Knowledge Institute and Living Lab peers, innovation and technical approach, knowledge dissemination and demonstration, and price and quality balance. On this last one, evaluators can propose budget changes from the requested budget based on those evaluation results in the last item. If changes are proposed by the evaluators, they can either be accepted or rejected by the applicant. However, rejecting the recommended modification of the requested budget by the applicant means the project will be rejected. Then, based on the ranking, the first non-funded projects might be accepted for funding. Finally, for the criteria fulfillment and selection process, the minimum threshold for a proposal to pass is 12 points, and you need 3 points out of 5 in each of the previously mentioned criterion to pass. So less than 3 points in any of those criteria, and the proposal will be automatically rejected. So we're looking for a minimum 3 points in each of those 4 previously mentioned. And that will be all from my side.
Thank you very much, Laura. That was very good. I hope everyone, if some of these things were confusing, because I know that it's quite technical language, please, leave the comment in the chat, and we'll see if we can put these presentations on the website as well. What you think, Shane?
There'll be no issue with that. Yeah, we will make this publicly available afterwards, and we will put up the PowerPoint slides on the website as well, so that anyone can read them afterwards as well.
Yeah. So the recording of this webinar is going to be on the website, and we're going to put all of our presentations on the website as well. So I'm going to start because we don't want to keep you too long, and I know that it's a very long day and everybody worked really hard, and it's 8 o'clock. So I'm going to share the very last presentation. It was supposed to be between myself and Dr. Maria Gracia, who is on a maternity leave at the moment, but will be back with us just for the project to start. She's our soil scientist here at TOOS. So I'm gonna share this, and we'll again disconnect. I will connect the slides and disconnect all of the presenters. So our audience can see the slides much easier on the bigger screen. So with this presentation, I wanted to just introduce you briefly to the application forms, okay? No. There are going to be a number of annexes in the call documents. They all will be available in our Soilcrates. They're not going to be physically placed at our website, but they're going to be linked to each of these annexes to our partners, to the Central Horizon Europe website. And as Laura said, the Annex A and Annex B, their technical proposal template and breakdown of cost, which is basically a budget template. Okay, then the Annex C is a third-party agreement. This will be rolled out only to the successful applicants. And the same would be with the privacy statement. So apologies, when you submit an Annex A and Annex B, they're going to be privacy statement and declaration of honor that basically you confirming that all information that you provided in this template is correct to your best knowledge, and also the privacy statement where you agreeing basically to participate in our events and share your data. But I can assure you that the data that you will share with us is going to be treated with the utmost confidentiality, and no personal, no names or locations going to be made publicly available. So this is the selection process. First of all, is when you submit your application, as Lara said, they're going to be eligibility assessment, and which decide is project accepted or rejected just based on eligibility criteria. Basically, if you come from 3 counties, if you farmer, or if you fall into all of these groups, if you submitted on time, and all the basic criteria that you have to pass. And then if the project passes that, it's been passed to 2 experts, A and B. That experts in soil science and potential social science, where they will evaluate the proposal itself. We're talking about different languages because all proposals will be submitted in the language of the country that Living Lab is located at. While for Ireland, it doesn't matter, everyone speaks English. The other country might have a problem there. So when the proposal is evaluated, expert A be able to harmonize the grades, and the proposal will be passed to the selection committee made of 8 experts who will rank them and decide which projects are going through, which are not. And then afterwards, the participants are going to be informed. And if the project is good but failing on some points, we're going to ask participants to reapply and correct some of the minor things that could be corrected. And also, second round will give a chance to someone who could not apply by, say, some personal circumstances or whichever is happening in the first round. So if you were active participants throughout, it's only fair that you have the chance to apply if anything happens between now and when the first call closes. So how does this look? The administrative forms going to be they're going to be very simple. So it's going to be some of them is going to be like a multi-answer question. So when you have to pick which country, if you applying yourself or you mini consortia of farmers, and then if you do so just in a few words, how this is going to happen. Then this information all about main applicants, the legal name, the entity, basically farm name and number probably. If you have if you like if you farmer, if you owner, so position or of legal representative. If you farmer owner, just say owner. If you apply from the farming cooperative and representing 3 farmers, you just say whatever position in the cooperative, email, phone number, and then choose the what type of the applicant you are. And if other but eligible, specify. And then we would need to get address, email, VAT number, because this organization potentially will be paid money, so we would need all of this data for the reporting. And country of the proposal again, and legal document, basically how you incorporate it. They would ask to submit a copy of the farm registration or business registration, etc. So part 2, here you're gonna need to write a little bit, okay? So what you're gonna write, please briefly explain the concept of your project. It's what you want to do. And I'm gonna show you on the next slide what 2,000 characters look like. It's maximum. You don't need to write an essay. You just need to very briefly and clearly describe what you want to do. And it would be very easy. It would be much easier if you choose one of the soil health practices that were introduced to you previously. They are on the website. If you're gonna look on the website, you can download the whole file from it. You can basically copy and paste and rework it into 200 characters, and that would be, you know, it would be probably much easier. And then explain the objective of your project. Please remember that objective of this project is to improve soil health. It's not, you know, to improve the yields or not to do anything with, you know, animal husbandry. It's specifically for the soil health, okay? And just the hint here, European Mission Soil has 8 strategic objectives, and our project, Soilcrates, they're looking for at objective number 6, which is soil structure and soil biodiversity. So when we're talking about compaction, and we heard from many people that they're affected by compaction, that's exactly what you write in here. So improving soil structure, improving soil biodiversity, and then as well as that, objective 8, which is soil literacy. 2, increase, so you can refer also to organic carbon stocks. 4, which is reduce soil pollution. And number 5, which is prevent soil erosion. I think this is more applicable to France, Spain, because I think erosion in Ireland, we're mostly pastures, so erosion is not such a big problem as, say, biodiversity, maybe at times, soil structure, and sometimes soil pollution, etc. So this is just as a little hint for the application. Base it on the soil health and work from there. What practices included in the proposed experiments? You can choose more than one practice, but we're probably not going to accept if it's more than 2. Why? Because when you design scientific experiment for more than 2 practices, it takes a lot of repetition of different things, combining these experiments using different plots. So it's going to be first very expensive for you to apply on the plot 3 different practices and their combinations to see which one produce effect. And secondly, it's going to be very expensive to do scientific experimentation on, because if you have 10 plots, we would have to do them all in triplicates plus control. It's gonna, we generally do not recommend to apply for more than 2 practices. Okay. If more than one practice used, please specify. And in case of collaboration with other partners, explain how tasks will be split. For instance, in our expression of interest, out of 31 expression of interest that were received, 13 would like to try biochar. Okay, and that biochar might not be on its own. Some people want to try biochar in combination with anaerobic digestate, some with seaweed, some with the multi-species. So if you, for instance, have a consortium and you want to try application of biochar with different measures, you can split it between different partners. So that's what it's asking here exactly. In case of collaboration, explaining how will you monitor the task of each partner. That is basically simple, because the lead applicant would have to take responsibility for all the tasks and do it in collaboration with the either local Living Lab partner or TUS. Okay, and we will work it out, this explanation at the time of the workshops throughout September. So this is what I wanted to show you. What the 2000 characters look like. Okay, 2000 characters. It's about. You can see on this page there are lots of spaces and breaks. So just aim for about 2/3 of the page for each part where you have to explain something. And please don't overdo it, because the CINAM can fail you on it and we won't be able to say it. It's one of the eligibility criteria that it has to be 200 characters. But again, at the preparation workshops, we will help you bring your computers, and we'll try to work through some things and show you how they work. Now, timeline and budget. Again, as Shane said, the expected is 12, but we will ask you to look at the 24, because again, while it's not eligibility criteria, if there are 2 similar projects, one is 12 months and the other 24, the 24 is going to be accepted. Start date of experiment. That is the other thing that we need to ask you to do. So we need to start experiment in March next year. Okay, if you say 1st of March or 2nd, 3rd, 4th of March, anytime, then why do we want to do that? Before you start applying your measure, soil improvement measure, we would need to do baseline soil baseline assessment. So we would need to test the soil before anything is done. And the best time to do that is spring and autumn. We will, because of our circumstances with commission, we're gonna miss the October. I really wanted to start doing the baseline studies in October. However, it was out of our hands because our project officer wanted to review the application, and now we're looking at March. Okay, so we would need to do a baseline study before you apply any practice. Slurry, biochar, any fertilization. I know that many people do that in March. Okay, so that's the start of experiment, and explain expected phases and milestones of the project. Again, you would have just think about different tasks of the project. You apply fertilizer, then then the testing that we will assess, then you next year what you're going to do, reassess application of the fertilizer, how you're going to participate in the all the co-creation activities, etc. But again, we will bring the examples of small project applications to the preparation sessions and explain how it works. The Gantt chart of the project. For those who are not familiar with the Gantt chart, again, we will help with the Gantt charts at the project preparation sessions. It's basically Excel file. When you mark in the color, when you write your task, what you're doing for this specific task, and the duration from a month, say 1 to month 5, next task month 3 to month 12, and you create a mini table and a date end of each a task. It's either milestone or deliverable that we're gonna have. Amount claimed for the project in euro, and please provide a brief description of how will they use this financial support through the experiment duration. So this is like justification of your project cost. Okay, so if you need money for if it's your own time, or you taking land out of use, or if you hiring someone to help you, or if you're hiring machinery, if you're buying fertilizer, seeds, etc., etc., etc. So just whatever you put in the financial template, explain here briefly, okay? Upload here a project breakdown cost. Okay, so it's kind of the same. But it a little bit more expanded. Are any other financial sources contributing to the experiment? If you're doing these studies and you continuing from other project, okay, I would, or you planning to contribute to something else, you should say yes and explain, because as a condition of the call, the continuation is this of certain studies allowed, because 2 years is very little. And as Shane was saying, that we will help you to apply from different sources to continue the same study, because we as scientists believe that you need to have 5 years of doing the same practice to see the real results. Okay, so if you're applying one fertilizer 1 or 2 years, you're only going to briefly start seeing results of what happened. And in the first year, you might even see negative results. So if you have any other funding that will help you to go into 5 years, you say yes. But just keep in mind, if you fund it for the same project for the same time, then it's going to be rejected. If it's for the same practice for different time and you continuing, it's one thing. It's not going to be rejected. But if it is, and you also you need to disclose that, because if it comes out that you do have funding for similar type of work, for the same land, for the same farm, the commission might come after you for that. Okay, after to basically take the grant away. Implementation and participation in the Living Lab. Okay, so again, 2,000 character maximum. You don't need to use 2,000. Half page, I'd say, would be enough. Bullet points would be enough. If you have your idea, you don't need to go and describe it, because nobody likes to read an essay. If it's logical and you can describe it in the bullet points, that's more than enough. Okay. So what are the main strengths and the main opportunities of proposed experiment? Again, think about it. Why is it better than any other practice? And go back to our practice sheets and see, because all of this is described there. Okay, so there's the strength, their opportunities, what this experiment gonna potentially produce for the soil and life, etc. Risks. Why do you think the experiment is not going to work? And what would you do to mitigate this risk? Again, it's a normal thing. Normally, to be honest with you, we kind of make them up when we make application, and then create a type of mitigation measure. Well, we do obviously think, we send us thinking what could be risk of applying. Okay, but then we add some mitigation measures. What are relevant success factors that would help them the implementation of the experiment? I think it was directly from French. I'm gonna ask in the next session to review what do they mean, because it's a French partner who designed this experiment. What other stakeholders would be interested to be part of experiment? So basically that means if you have a support in business, okay, so if you are buying char from someone, or if you using somebody's machinery and that would advertise their machinery, if there anyone that would be interested in the outcomes of the experiment. Okay. And other, please specify. Then outcomes, how do you envisage outcomes? If you envisage to continue to do in practice, how you envisage to disseminate it to your peers, to make sure if it's a good outcome that peers would be able to, so you can disseminate it and show to other farmers basically that that it works, and it works well, or it doesn't work well, etc. And if you expect the practice to develop after the duration of the project. What the potential impact of your experiment, social, scientific, and economic. We will help you with that, okay? Because we would need to take into consideration how much you spent and how much you expect increase in the yields, etc. And social, I'm gonna ask Dr. Shane O'Sullivan to look into this part, but we will be assisting with this at the time of the preparation sessions. And then to what extent do you think your project may be replicated, transferable? What conditions do you consider relevant to make it replicable? So okay, again, think about different practices. If we're talking about biochar, we have a producer. I'm just giving it as an example because so many people applied, are interested in it. You can commercially source biochar from companies that produces it, and replicate this experiment in many farms. If we have things like Korean natural composting, Bacati, etc., they normally made in the small batches. It's very difficult to source, and you would need to train someone who want to use this practice how to prepare this type of compost. Okay, so again, they're transferable, but would need to have some support from the person who already knows what they're doing. Okay. Again, in your own words, and it's half page maximum. Then ethics. Are there any other research activities that will be conducted outside of research done by the consortium partners? I'd say the answer is no. We just focus on what we do. And please identify potential ethic issue raised by your planned work. So just look at each of the, it's a multi-choice question, and take any of them. I don't envisage anyone take any of them at all. So I'd say no. Okay. So we're not going to have any ethical issues. I don't think so, because we're not using toxic material. We're not, you're not, you're not working with stem cells, or you're not applying the practice on animals specifically. Okay, so it's all about soil. So I would say that there shouldn't be ethical issues. But if somebody feels that it's a yes, there is 1,000-character explain, literally a paragraph, why would there be ethical issues. And now it's a breakdown of cost. Okay, so there is a one pager that you would have to upload with your application template. So the first part is the personnel cost. So is your own cost per month. And if you subcontract into someone, that's parts A and B. So what you put in there? So your time used outside of your normal work practice. So basically, you're farming, and then to change to this where you're farming, how many hours do you envisage, or how many, what we call person months? Basically, you group your hours per day in the month, and that is your person months. We'll explain at the session, at each session that we're gonna be holding in September, or it's a direct contracting cost. It's not only the hours that you spent for conducting the practice. You would need to include hours that you would spend, for instance, when you're granted, you preparing the project and you're researching, you're doing some research on the topic. You include hours that you'd be participating in dissemination activities. You would be going, I would, like any every of the granted project, to go to at least one general assembly or farm walks. We're gonna have them together into one of 3 partnering countries, at least one. Okay, so that will involve that cost. The time you will spend disseminating, if we will be holding farm walks on your farm, that's also your time spent, etc. We're gonna be basing the payment rates on the terms rate, okay, and then we'll calculating how much do you think you will need to spend extra for research, for dissemination, for the practice itself, or if you have subcontracting costs, or if you're subcontracting to someone. For instance, you have 3 farmers in the project, okay? So use technically subcontracting a part of the project to the other farm, okay? And you would be then hiring that farmer to do soil work. They not necessarily have to be involved in dissemination because it's a lead partner would, but they would be doing work, okay? So technically you're subcontracting the partner and farmer if you decided to do that. And then part C, which is your purchase which is your purchase cost, so which is travel and subsistence within the country. If you go to, say, for our dissemination event to TUS or any of the 3 counties that we work in Living Lab with, or the travel that you go to international event. So I would suggest that for Ireland, and we've been there going to Netherlands. I know that Spain and France are more fun, but from the farming perspective, going to Netherlands, and remember your Frisian cows are coming from province of Friesland, that is the lead partner of this project. So there are lots of very interesting developments specifically that you could observe there and take into consideration on your own farm. So include flights, accommodation, etc., to at least €1,000 to go to one of the countries, one of the other partnering Living Labs. Equipment to do the experiments, complete depreciation cost. What does this mean? I would potentially not advise to buy any equipment unless it's something like low pressure tires, because the depreciation cost is mostly 6 years, and you have to be able to show, so you only can claim depreciation cost. So you only can claim 2 years that the project going to be working out of 6 if you applying for any type of equipment, because equipment you can hire as well, and that will be hired. You can claim that cost in full. Any infrastructure, other assets that you buy, as I said, low pressure tires. Maybe if you're doing the if you're doing the compaction measures, any consumables, fertilizers, seeds, you consumables, say for the soil testing, soil core, anything that you think would help you to work to deliver this project. Shipment insurance translation does not apply to us, but it would apply to other countries. And then services for dissemination activities, services for meetings and seminars, but that is included already in the pay cost. Okay. Again, I need to clarify it with them. And then internally invoice goods and services. What does this mean? It means if you bind, so if you, for instance, using self-grown seeds for seeding something, okay, then you invoice it to yourself, or you invoice, if you hire the land from some other farmer, you again paying, you invoicing yourself for buying material for the other farm. But anything that you use of your own material to do this experiment, you can potentially invoice if you have the docket. Okay. So and then it will be Excel sheet, so it will be total of A and C, and then total of A, B, and C, and that's going to be your Form B to be submitted with the project. And then you also can include the land if you there is a step back in the project. So basically, it says that you cannot claim more than €1,000 per hectare, and the land claim cannot be more than 25% of overall project. But I would advise to claim only the land that you're taking out of out of your normal practice and you suspect that it might not perform the same as your normal practice. Because we cannot impose losses onto any farmers, so then you claim the land cost as a land rental rates, rental rates. So these are the from report from DAFM for 2003 and 4, but coming 2006, we're probably going to have some data for 2005. So what is eligible cost? As I said, personnel, travel and accommodation if you're going somewhere, goods and services, seeds, fertilizer, etc., including internally invoiced on the ones that you use from your own farm. Exact amount of financial support will be the exact amount of financial support will be allocated to each sub-grant applicant after the evaluation and selection process. Basically, what you ask, and you need to add detailed breakdown of planned cost for each applicant or co-applicant, and it has to be attached in Appendix B. So, what is personnel? What personnel cost could include? Research activities when you're researching the project, implementation of the tests and testing, communication, dissemination, monitoring, and reporting. So that's when you're doing sampling. And consumables, again, seeds, plant and material fertilization, rentals of specialized equipment, basic laboratory equipment and reagent. Why do we say that? The tools will be testing everything. However, we have a part of the project which is called Farmer Toolbox. And in this part, each of the participants will be required to, each of the project would require to participate. We're going to be training farmers how to do these experiments yourself, because many of the nitrogen, phosphorus, or pH, biodiversity, many compaction, percolation, all of these tests can be done by yourself on farm. Buying a simple and inexpensive kit, or even without any investment into the testing procedures. So we will ask you to select protocols that you would like to test on your own farms. They will be part of the contract. They're going to be appendix in the contract. And then we will have this activity on the farm when we're going to be training people to do, it's a part of soil literacy training, when you're going to be testing yourself, your own soil, using it's not going to be lab, it's not going to be 100% as in lab, but we will be correlating and confirming that the tests are correct, or by what margin they're off, and giving you this knowledge and giving you the power of doing all of these tests yourself, rather than going and finding lab and paying to the labs. Purchase of specialized field and farm equipment and materials, developing and promoting and printing of outreach materials, manual and mechanical agricultural by specialized agri enterprises. Basically, you're hiring somebody to do some work on your farm. Advisors or supervision. So if you need to get advice from the agricultural advisors, and hosting field visits. So then you, as well as that, you have travel costs to participate in project meeting events and the Mission Soil selected events. Hectare compensation for the, it says parcels for the plots, at maximum €1,000 per year per hectare, and that can be exceeding 25% of the overall project cost, project budget. And if you're receiving funding from another entity covering the same activities, this cost would be rejected. The application for hectare compensation must be substantiated. What does it mean? That means if you're taking this out of usual operation for the duration of the project. So if you continue, you just slightly changing the practice, they're not going to accept or gonna question it or ask you to reduce the amount. Then participation, what is audit? So it's a lump sum project. Whatever is in your budget and whatever is agreed is gonna be given to you. Okay, but the horizon or mission, they could have a spot audits. I don't envisage that happening, but we recommend if you buy any material, please keep the receipts, and if you have, do the timesheets, pay slips, and invoices, etc., just in case for the duration of the project, or as the GDP were described, just have a folder for it. Okay. Some obligation concerning liability in case of financial checks, so that's why they want it preserved, to be preserved, and it could be audited by Senam or any external auditors. If access to any relevant information and denied by our deed, the cost might be rejected and the subgrant revoked. Again, if you have receipts for everything, and in the rare case that gonna be spot check, just keep the receipts, that's all. Okay. Now, I think that's it from me. My apologies, was quite a long, it was quite a long